So today I'm going to teach you how to be more confident in your pattern combinations. So let's start with the basic structure. You've got the classic dark tailored jacket. This could be part of a suit or it could be an odd jacket, a plain shirt and a very discreet pattern tie. Now this is a really smart, elegant look. This could be appropriate for business, you could go to a formal occasion. It certainly isn't incorrect. But you shouldn't rely on this look as being your only look. I think if you're into tailored clothing, you want to explore your own personal style and get the most wear out of your clothing, having the confidence to bring more patterns in can be quite rewarding. You can get some good looks, you get to wear more interesting patterns, and you develop your own style and personality. A simple way to elevate the classic look is the addition of a pocket square. I always wear them, always have worn them ever since I've worn my own tailored clothing. If you're nervous, a great place to start, and we've covered this before, is with a solid, particularly if it's got a little bit of an edge to it because you've got two looks in the same pocket square. But just adding this to the pocket just gives you a little bit of visual interest, and suddenly you're a bit more put together, a bit more interesting. So I think that's a really lovely, easy way of elevating your outfit. I think what I like about it, it breaks the jacket up. You've got a lot of dark here. By having a little bit of colour here, it just puts some definition into it. That's a really easy start. So if we look at the basic structure of the tailored outfit, you've got, of the components, you've got 3 plains and 1 pattern. Now, if you're a conservative dresser and you're uncomfortable mixing patterns or bringing extra patterns in, this is always going to be a really simple, fail-safe way of dressing. You could perhaps then wear a solid tie and bring a pattern shirt in. You could do a plain shirt, plain tie, and also a bit of pattern into the pocket square, and that is absolutely fine. It's a really good look. It's like a look I sometimes indulge in, but I want to push you to try more pattern. So let's just start something really, really simple. And I'm going to remove the beautiful linen square, put a pattern pocket square in, which completely different style and texture to the tie, as it should be. I think you just elevate the look a little bit. So slightly more confident, slightly more interesting. But I think although there's a completely different pattern, texture, colours, I think they're both sort of in the same colour families. They both have a slightly autumnal feel to it. I think I could see this look here with some sort of charcoal flannels and maybe some brown suede shoes would look beautiful on sort of a crisp autumn morning. That'd be a lovely, lovely look. But you just see how the patterns here complement one another without actually matching. It's a much more sophisticated way of dressing. And also, don't forget when you're picking your pocket square, and this is a really important thing about anything, is that when you're looking at them, perhaps in the drawer, when you're looking at them online, you see a lot of pattern, there's a lot going on. You just think that's going to completely dominate my outfit. But of course, when you're wearing it, like I'm wearing mine or in the pocket here, you're only seeing a small amount. And it just has a bit of visual interest to it. So you've got here, of the 4, you've got 2 patterns and 2 plains. Quite a limited colour palette. You've got the 2 blues in the jacket and shirt, and then we've got the tie and the hanky sticking sort of the autumnal shades. So it's still conservative, but the sophistication I see in somebody wearing this is very different to not having it. So if you remember that wearing a blend check or similarly simple checked tie with a more repeat pattern pocket square, it's always a really easy combination and one I wear a lot. Various styles of checks, houndstooth, Prince of Wales, Glen checks, etc., different textures. That combination of Glen check, check tie and fancier pocket square is fail-safe. So taking the same shirt and tie, and I've swapped out the jacket for a pattern jacket. Now here's a point which is really important. This is a herringbone jacket, which means it has a certain surface interest. When it comes to pattern mixing, treat this like a plain, because it's so subtle, it's sophisticated in its texture. If you think that this is a pattern, you'll limit yourself. So in my mind, when I put looks together, that happens to be a plain. So it's a biscuit jacket, a plain shirt and a tie. Again, as before, the addition of a pocket square really elevates it. And I think this has got more of the same tie and the linen pocket square, it's got more of a spring vibe to it, a little bit of pattern, but by treating this as a plain, it's just that little bit more sophisticated. So from this ensemble, if we swap out the linen square, introduce a bit of pattern here, again, similar tones of colour, So completely different pattern. Obviously this pattern is completely different to what we have here, but it just elevates the look. Different texture, way it reflects light is different. And then in some people's eyes, you've got, of the 4 pieces, you've got 3 patterns. You've got a pattern tie, you've got a pattern jacket, a pattern pocket square. But I guess here the shirt acts as an anchor and it makes it a little bit easier to pull together. But this shows you, this doesn't look like you're trying too hard. Isn't something what I'll call dandyish, it's sophisticated, but you can see how of the 4 items, 3 patterns work well. So here's the same outfit, but we've swapped out the plain sky blue shirt for a butcher stripe, and I love this outfit. This is very much my taste. You've got, in some people's eyes, you've got 4 patterns of various scales and colours, all clashing perhaps, but I think this is very harmonious. The reason I feel this isn't too much is that there's a relationship between each different component with something else. Even though they're completely different patterns and colours and scales, there's a link. If you look at the tie, for example, which is quite a subtle pattern, it's got the same tones as the jacket. The jacket has a very elegant blend into the pocket square with similar tones as well. But if you look at the background shade of the pocket square, you've got this darker blue, which for me then hints towards the shirt with the sky blue stripes. So although it's very different, there is a link between all the components which makes it, to my eyes, harmonious and complementary. So I think what really makes this outfit work is the jacket, and as I said before, it has a herringbone pattern, but for me it's a plain, and this acts as a neutralizer. With the pattern of the pocket square, the bold shirts and the tie, this tones the whole outfit down and brings them all together. Why I also think this works is there's no one thing really shouting for attention. I'd say the shirt is quite bold, you've still got an equal amount of boldness from the pocket square. It also gets more interesting as you get closer to you. As you see closer from a distance, you probably say it was a plainish tie with a patterned shirt and pocket square. As you get closer, you notice there's a small amount of green in the tie. And that green isn't anywhere else in the outfit. Now, if you want to go to the next level and you want to do a bit of matching, I would maybe wear some green socks with your grey flannels and your suede shoes. You look very, very grown up. So here we've added another element. We've put a stripe tie onto a striped shirt. That's a minefield. I can understand why people don't like to do it. And the key to it is 2 things, different scales. The smaller the stripe of the shirt, the easier it is to put a bolder striped tie on. This, I would say, works, but you're on the cusp of it being too close. But I think it works, and the reason it works for me is the texture of the tie really lifts it up against the poplin, which is very smooth, the shirt. So that kind of compensates the fact the stripes are getting slightly too close to each other in scale, but it's a confident look. Again, with the jacket and the pocket square, I love the fact the colours are complementary in the sense that they are of a similar family, but you've got this lovely element of the shantung against the smooth worsted and the clean pocket square. So here we have an outfit with 4 different patterns. Some people say that's against the rules. I think it looks very elegant for the reasons we've discussed. And here we've swapped out the striped tie for a solid navy, again with a lovely shantung texture to it. And I think once you see this combination, it really means the shirt pops a bit more. It's not fighting for attention here, so you see a lot more detail of the shirt. But I love the way that the tie is a really strong contrast to the jacket. So even though they're 2 plains, both with texture, you've got a really lovely contrast there. And I think this is also an equally good look. Interestingly, because the tie is so dark against mostly pale items, it really pops. And that's why I think you should always have a good selection of navy ties in your wardrobe. They are so useful. Sometimes when you try and bring patterns together, it's almost like another neutralizer to bring together some really bold, elegant shirts. So here we have a much bolder jacket. Some people would shy away from it for the very reason they wouldn't know what to put with it, or if they did have it, they would perhaps only put plains with it. Now here I've put a bold striped shirt with it, but again using the same tie as a neutralizer, and a simple way of pushing the pocket square is another plain. But different texture to the tie. I try to always contrast textures with ties and pocket squares. And if you put that in here, again, it just slightly highlights the red in the jacket. So here we have, with the 4 components, 2 patterns and 2 plains. But the caveats that would be, let's look at the plains. You've got lovely texture in there, which almost works as a slight pattern to it, the way it reflects light and gives visual interest. And again, I love edge patterns, pocket squares, because again, it gives you a slight indication of a pattern. If you want to be more conservative, you could just show the dark red side and then tuck it in further. Also very elegant. Or if you want to be slightly more flamboyant and give the impression of more of a pattern, you bring the edges into it. So most people would be happy wearing a plain pocket square with this jacket because of the pattern in it, and they feel it's an easier compromise. But if you see a pattern one, you might think it's going to be too much pattern. If you look at it like this, that's a clash. There's too much going on. But always remember what it looks like in the pocket. And if you fold it in the right way, actually, I think it looks very, very wearable, and if anything, even more conservative. So here we have the combination of a bold jacket and 4 patterns. I think it looks great. It's not to everyone's taste, but I think it's really works. You've got some colour, as I said before, where everything relates to each other. The blue in the shirt picks out the blue in the tie, the dark red in the tie works in with the jacket, and then the pocket square just brings it all together. So I think it looks thoughtful, but there's certainly lots of different contrasts of scales, designs and patterns. And finally, I've got one last secret to share with you about how to bring patterns together, and that's confidence. To me, if I see somebody wearing a pattern and combination like this, how it's executed is just as important as the colours, the scales and the textures. If I see somebody with a beautifully tied tie, a nicely arranged pocket square, and the jacket fits them, they're showing the right amount of cuff, it's got a nice shape to the jacket, their trousers are well pressed, they're wearing polished shoes, they're really well put together, suddenly the pattern matching, even if they've got it slightly off one day, it still looks good because it's confident. So don't forget execution. If you put it well together, if your shirt is well pressed, you look well groomed, a combination which is perhaps not quite there will always look better than one which looks slovenly put together. So that's the secret. Wear it with confidence and put it together with care. So thanks for watching. I hope you found that informative. I hope you're going to be inspired now to try some different combinations. Any questions, put them in the comments. We love to hear your points of view, and don't forget to subscribe.